Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a wand for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody. I have something really cool to tell you about. If you haven't heard yet about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain here. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one single place. Now, the way that you can do this is you got to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, and then you can get started. It's really fun. We just switched over recently here at All Too Real 2, and I'm enjoying it so far. So be sure to check it out and let us know what you think. Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me as always is...
Matthew, Uncle Buck, Haas.
Your Uncle Buck.
Yep.
Okay. That works. That's cool. You know. Uncle Buck. So, today... on the show, we are starting a new series here that I am calling Pilot Era. It's look at pilots of TV shows that lasted less than one season. Or one season or less, I should say. Some of them made it to air like this one. Some of them never even made it to air and just had a pilot. So, today we're covering the 1990 television series Uncle Buck. Not to be confused with the more recent television series Uncle Buck that starred Mike Epps. Which we may cover in the future.
I didn't even know that they had a...
Yeah, there was a second attempt at an Uncle Buck TV series just a few years ago with Mike Epps. As Uncle Buck. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
So, as you know, maybe not, there was a 1989 film starring John Candy, produced by John Hughes, called Uncle Buck, which is a comedy classic, basically.
And the year after it premiered, CBS decided, hey, let's turn that into a TV series. And make it
cash in.
And make it darker than the fucking movie.
Yes.
But cornier. Yeah.
Cornier and darker at the same time somehow. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the basic premise of the TV show, it starred Kevin Meaney, the stand-up, the sadly passed away stand-up comic, as a slob who drinks, smokes, and is named the guardian of his nieces, Tia and Maisie, and nephew Miles, after their parents, Bob and Cindy, are suddenly killed in a car accident.
God, Jesus.
In the movie, they're just gone for a little bit. And Buck takes
maybe
care
this
of them.
was
Yeah.
Maybe this was after that. Maybe this is after they came back, and then later on they got killed in a car accident.
Could be. Yes.
God.
It aired in 1990, as I said, till 91. It aired from September 10th, 1990 to March 9th of 1991. On CBS. And Kevin Meaney, who is a great comic, if you've never seen his stand-up act, he's great, but it's really hard to replace John Candy in any kind of role. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He wasn't a bad Uncle Buck, he just wasn't John Candy.
Yeah.
So, the pilot episode, entitled Pilot, is what we're covering today.
Mm. Mm.
The basic idea of this episode is it's been like 5 months since the brother and sister-in-law passed away, and Buck has been taking care of the kids. We've got a couple situations going on here with the kids. What's going on here, Matt? Do you remember?
Yeah, so Maisie has been saying kind of bad words lately, like, sucks and whatever. And what's the nephew's name?
Miles.
Miles says that he's been bullied at school, and he's, feigning sick, because he doesn't want to go to school and have to face his bully. And Buck's, of course, doing the whole, you gotta stand up for yourself, type of thing. And he's like, okay. And then, Cindy, she's the eldest, she's, wants to go on a date with this guy at a concert and wants to meet him at the concert. And, she's dressed very kind of like, provocatively and stuff like that or whatever. And he's like, no.
Tia. Tia is her name.
Oh, sorry, Tia.
Yeah.
And, he's like, no, you can't do that. It's poker night or whatever. And he's like, no, that's what she said. He's like, it's not because of poker night. It's because, I don't know this guy and, all that kind of stuff or whatever, because he's like, their guardian now. So he's got to look after them. And so he's like, all right, here's what I'll do. I'll move poker night over here. So all my friends can come over here, and then your date could come meet you here first, and then, if I like him, you could go on to the concert together, but if I don't like him, then, he's gone type of thing. So he's just basically being roughly a father-ish kind of figure or whatever, And, they're all kind of acting out a little bit because, they're still dealing with their parents getting killed in a car crash in a movie that was supposed to be just total comedy, not dark, but whatever. Anyway, because didn't they do a show like that too in the 80s as well, where it was like called like Somebody's Family, and then like the girl gets killed in a car accident, and like they just like changed the whole show to like her family essentially.
Oh, there was Valerie. Was a show.
Was it? Yeah.
There was a show called Valerie, and then Valerie Harper was negotiating with them and wasn't able to do the show anymore because she wanted too much money or something. And so they brought in Sandy Duncan as her like sister-in-law to be the new kind of mother figure of the show. And then they changed the name of the show to Valerie's Family. and then they changed it again to The Hogan Family.
Right. And then it was
the show had 3 different names in the run of its show. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not quite as much with this show, but yeah. So they're all kind of acting out a little bit, and he's trying to keep them together and stuff like that. So they go up to school, and then he like this is like total sitcom, early '90s, late '80s, just like total cornball stuff. Like if you watch any of these shows, like back in the day, you might have actually thought it was cool. When you watch it later on, you're like, oh my god, like this is just terrible. That like we ever thought this was funny. Like all right, Friday night, TGIF, whatever. Oh, I got my Domino's pizza and my rental movies at Blockbuster or whatever else, and I'm gonna watch this TV show, and then it's like, oh my god, this is like absolutely horrendous. So anyway, so he's like dancing like while he's cleaning the house, like dusting and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's that song by Sam and Dave, Hold On, I'm Coming.
Yeah.
And it goes on for way too long, like a whole minute. It's like, okay, we get the point. You don't need to dance around for an entire minute to like show that like Uncle Buck likes to party, man, woo, type of thing. And then like this woman from like the bank or whatever shows up, and like immediately she just tries to seduce him. To like work out some deal or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, the very sexy Uncle Buck she's trying to seduce, and he's like he's like against her, like trying to fend off her advances, and I'm like, she's actually kind of hot, and probably better than any other woman you could get.
Exactly. It's like the King of Queens thing. It's like, the hot woman with like the slobbish guy like would never fall for that guy in real life. Which I'm not being mean. It's just the reality. Take what you want with it, but that's the reality. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just the truth. So you can argue against it if you want, but you can argue against reality. I guess that's your choice. Anyway, so so he's like, no, whatever. And then he goes, do you offer this to all your clients? And she goes, oh, well, we're an all-service bank or whatever. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what kind of institution is this?
Yeah, it's like
anyway.
It's like a prostitution bank or something, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah. So he just leaves her at the house. I'm like, okay, you just do that now? Like, if I leave my house with a stranger in it, I don't just leave and just let the stranger stay there. Like, no, you gotta go. Bye. Like, I'm not just gonna let you up. Anyway, so what he wanted to do was that he wanted to get some extra money from the mom. I'm not sure if it was his sister-in-law's mom or probably his sister-in-law. Yeah. Anyway, so she's like the executor of the estate, I guess, or something like that. And he wanted to basically borrow some extra money from that for a quote, a hunch.
Yeah.
And if you watch Uncle Buck, the movie, he was always like betting, pretty much made his living off of just like betting big on like bets. Pretty much he would make like a year's worth of salary by just placing like one shady kind of bet because he had friends basically who knew like, oh, this game's gonna be rigged. He was kind of a shady dude, like not terrible, not like a bad guy, but he was doing some kind of quasi-ish illegal things for money. And he was actually living in the Cubs stadium in the movie for some reason. Not sure how that worked out, whatever. Anyway, so the woman from the bank or whatever thought that he meant, that he wants to gamble the money away, and that's what his mother-in-law, or not mother-in-law, but whatever, his sister-in-law's mom.
Yeah.
She thought that he was gonna, do the same thing or whatever.
Who, by the way, is played by Audrey Meadows from The Honeymooners.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, classic sitcom actress, in this
Right.
glorious sitcom.
Right. So what happens after this then when she's trying to seduce him? He gets a phone call, right? So what happens with the phone call?
That he has to go to the school because there's some shit going down with his niece and nephew. His niece called the vice principal, whose last name is Crappier. She called her a sack of something. Yeah. So, that he goes there, he's smoking a cigar in there, he's asked to put it out. He throws it into a fish tank, and a fish starts smoking the cigar, and then swallows it. Like they do,
Yeah, like they do,
Yeah. He finds out that, she's been, saying bad words basically at school, so that needs to be taken care of. There's, the whole, that they also find out that, Miles got in a fight with his bully Pat, who, turns out to be named Patricia. Yeah, he punched a girl, basically, so, yeah. That's basically what happened, and, so, that's bad. But he's been being bullied by a girl. And, so, Buck says that he'll take care of things, and leaves. After, some funny interaction with, Miss Crappier, who he calls Mrs. Crappier, and she's like, Miss, and he's like, oh, that's a shock.
Yeah, pretty insulting.
Yeah.
Pretty insulting banter between them. Well, mainly him.
Do you want to take a quick break here, Matt, and then come back and talk more about the rest of the episode?
It's a fantastic show, sure.
Yes, we'll be right back, folks.
It's the ninja from the Ask the Angry Ninja Show saying, come listen to the show. We got the Ninja Wife to give you your movie reviews. We got the Conscript to give you the ninja news. And we got the Battle to talk about your sports. And as always, it is the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So ask me a question, and we'll give you the ninja knowledge you need for your ninja life. Search for us anywhere you get your podcast from. Just search for the Ask the Angry Ninja Show and enjoy the show.
And we are back with a vengeance.
The Avengers.
Yes.
No.
We're the Revengers. We're like the generic Avengers.
I was just thinking of that last night. The Revengers. the knockoff of the Avengers.
That's what it should be called. Yeah. There was this lady I used to work with at a store I work at, and she her nephew, when the Avengers movie came out, he's like Aunt Lynn, we need to go see the Revengers. That's what he called it, so I always thought that was cute. Anyways, so back to Uncle Buck, the pilot. What happens next here in this episode here, Matt?
Oh. What happens next is, he's back home, and then grandmother shows up in a huff, basically thinking that, like, he wants to gamble, his money, the money away on, like, one of his hunches or one of his, semi-illegal type of bets or whatever.
Oh yeah, and this is after his gambling buddies came over too. Including
because they came over for poker night. What's that?
Including a guy named Skank.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's right. He was kind of like a really annoying, irritating character. And then also, too, the Tia's date shows up looking like some really stereotypical, like, 1980s rich dude with, like, a ponytail and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like a silk shirt and a limousine, parked out front and all this kind of stupid stuff. And then so she's like, oh, it's bad influence. I've got to get you. You can't take care of these kids or whatever. Type of thing, because everything's being revealed all at once. Like, the gambling, the poker, and then the kid, Miles wanted to be part of the game. So I was like, oh, you're teaching him how to gamble, type of thing. And then, Tia's date shows up looking like a freaking 30-year-old. And then, Tia's only 16. What is with all the shows lately we've been watching about underage? Like, this is totally, like, accidental, but, like, and it's the creepy thing about it is that, like, nobody in the show, like, even seems to have, like, that much of a problem with it. I mean, like, sort of, but it's not like it is today where it's, like, an actual problem. It's like, that's just kind of weird, I'm like, no, it's actually not weird. It's, like, actually, no.
It always seemed like in these movies and TV shows of this time that it was more common for, like, teenage girls to be dating college-age guys.
Right.
But when I was in high school, I didn't know of that many girls that were dating guys in college or above.
Right. Guess it was just a TV show thing.
Yeah.
Which is creepy in of itself, because it's like, wait, are you trying to promote this? Like, I mean, like...
I know.
Like, are you trying to actually get people to do this? Like, by making it seem normal and normalize it? Or are you just trying to, like, have a good punchline or whatever, probably?
Yeah.
So that's the creepy part. So, like, the grandma's packing up upstairs, and the kids are like, we don't want to go, we like Uncle Buck taking care of us, type of thing. And she's like, you don't know better, you don't know Uncle Buck like I know him, And they're like, he just lets you run wild and lets you do whatever you want. Like, no, he doesn't. And then, like, they, like, have this heartfelt thing because she's like, you know, your parents died or whatever. And then he's like, no, like, no one really ever goes away. Like, just because a snowflake becomes a raindrop doesn't mean that it's really gone, or some weird bullshit like that. And then she's like, oh, Uncle Buck said that or whatever. Like, oh, I guess he's not such a terrible guy after all, whatever. So then meanwhile, Uncle Buck's like smoking a cigar again or whatever. He's gonna have like throat cancer soon. And then like he's talking to the, Tia's date or whatever. And like he's like trying to like, like rile him up or whatever. Really creepy dialogue, by the way, too, because he's like, oh, don't sweat it, man. Like, I'm not her dad. I'm just her uncle. But yeah, someone with a body like that. I'm like, I would not be talking about my niece like that, even if you're trying to make a point. That's don't do that.
It's great writing. Great
weird,
writing.
Creepy. What's that?
Great writing. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Great writing. And then he's, like, implying that she's into all this weird, like, sexual shit. Like, if she asks you how to tie a certain knot or whatever, like, okay, you're talking way too sexual about your niece. Like, I know what point you're trying to make, but you need to stop now. Like, no, you need to stop before you started, is what you need to do. Yeah.
Because he really didn't need to scare the guy. I was going to say, he didn't really need to scare the guy away. He could have just said, dude, go. I'm her uncle. You're not dating her. Bye-bye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, no, he has to like imply that she's into BDSM. I'm like, this is your niece you're talking about, who's 16 years old.
Yep.
What? Like, no, you don't even the point. I know the point he's trying to do, but it's like you still don't do that. Like, oh my god, like. And then so he runs off scared, bullshit, whatever, and then goes off to his limousine. And by the way, he implied that he was like in like his career was like selling stolen wares or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like stereo equipment or some bullshit. I don't know. So he runs off, and then the grandma comes in, and they start having an argument. Well, no, the grandma's basically going to tell him that he can stay being her guardian. but like, he won't listen to her, so he goes off on the big speech, like, I know I'm not the perfect person, and I know I've got problems, but I love those kids. And, every time she opens her mouth, he just goes off on another tirade, and he has a big emotional thing where he starts crying, almost like, those kids are the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then they're like hiding behind the door, listening in on the conversation, and like spill over. Oh yeah, by the way, so like the hunch he had was that he wanted to buy a prom dress for Tia, to try to convince her to go to the prom so that she could like, act like a kid again, essentially, like not act all grown up, like trying to date 24-year-olds who, sell stolen goods and go to concerts and stuff like that. So, what happens after that?
So basically they have their little argument. But then, she makes Buck shut up and basically tells him that, the kids can stay, that, Miles and Maisie basically explained to her, that Buck's a good guy. Mm-hmm. And, said that she's basically going to keep an eye on things, though, and if anything happens, she's going to put the kibosh on things. And, that's about it. And then, we have the typical ending of a sitcom where, everything's good and everything's happy. Yep. And that was the pilot of Uncle Buck in 1990.
1990. Yep.
Do you want to take another break here, Matt?
I am not. Yes, and I am not at all surprised that it only lasted. Well, technically, only 16 episodes, and 6 of them were unaired.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't even last a whole season. So yeah.
Nope.
But anyways, we're going to take a break here. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about some reviews of the show and some other things here. We'll be right back.
Sure. Yep.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
And we are back. Okay, so here are some here's some trivia about this show here, Matt. When the show was announced, John Candy sent a bottle of wine to Kevin Meaney to wish him luck.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. The pilot that we saw caused a minor controversy in 1990 because of a scene where Maisie tells Uncle Buck, "You suck." This is the first time that had happened in an American network television series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I remember there was some kind of outrage back then when that happened. It was just so strange. Because that doesn't...
We've come a long way.
Yeah, "you suck" was like not a big deal. Dennis Cockrum is the only person from the film to play a role in the show. In the film, he played Pal. In the show, he played the character named Skank. So Skank is the only person that was in both. Yeah, the show ended before all of the episodes could be aired. So, yeah. They moved it to a Friday night time slot, and I think it was like opposite Full House or something, and it basically lost to Full House. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. It's Full House.
Mm-hmm. So, here are some user reviews from the Internet Movie Database. Or database. So, this first one says, Absolute Tripe. This is from Matlock6 on November 4th of 2003. The Uncle Buck TV series is a testament to TV of the late 80s, early 90s, in which networks appeared to completely lose what little creative talent they had. Instead, they chose to spin off any movie that had any kind of popular following. Uncle Buck the TV show was, of course, shamelessly copied from the John Hughes film of the same name, which starred John Candy in the title role. Shows like this should be utterly forgotten. Fortunately for the TV viewing public, this and other lame spin-off attempts, Ferris Bueller to name another, which we should cover for an episode coming up, very quickly...
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was
Wow.
a Ferris Bueller TV series that lasted like one season.
Wow.
Very quickly sank into the abyss of useless cast-off shows that not even a mother could love. For a hilarious, touching film, Rent Uncle Buck starring John Candy. If some TV station decides to show episodes of Uncle Buck, the TV show, I suggest you pawn your TV and take up Greenlandic throat singing.
Okay.
Yep.
I never heard of Greenland throat singing before.
I tell you what, Matt, before the next episode, I am going to take it up and, and master it. I will be the master of Greenlandic throat singing. And that'll be my new career, and we're going to stop doing the podcast, and all I'm going to do is that.
No, maybe we should move to Greenland. And
No,
then,
we got to do it here.
No, we should move to Greenland for a while, do the podcast in Greenland, and then we can have like a separate podcast called All Too Green, and then land in parentheses. And the podcast is all about Greenlandic culture, throat singing being part of it, obviously. And then we can move back here after I don't know, 7 months, 6 months, something like that. And then learn nothing from our adventures in Greenland. So
That'd be great.
do that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we could both find work, maybe as goat farmers or herders or some shit, or farmhand of some kind, or maybe a barkeep at a local pub. I don't really know Greenlandic culture, to be honest. I don't even think a lot of people live there. I think 50,000 people live in Greenland, and half of them are scientists from other countries doing experiments and shit like that. But we could probably find a way to mix in and stuff like that. So
Yes. And we'll do our Greenlandic throat singing
idea.
show. Yeah, we can do this. We'll do it. If anybody's listening
before
to
a concert,
if anybody's listening to the show and you live in Greenland, let us know. Maybe we can crash on your couch or something.
yeah, that would be awesome. Actually, that would be because personally, I just want to get as far away from this place as possible. So Greenland sounds great. Actually, very secluded, good, lots of land, awesome. So few people and lots of land. That's a combination I really like right there. I like space. I don't like crowded. I don't like anything crowded. And it's even though it's up there north, people think it's super cold in Greenland. It's actually not that cold. It's not full of snow. It's the mythology that Greenland was called Greenland as a trick in order to get people to think it was full of green, but it was actually full of ice. And then Iceland was actually full of green, but then they trick people by calling it Iceland, so no one would want to go to Iceland. What? No, that never happened. You go to Iceland, clearly there's ice there. Clearly it's cold. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. On an Uncle Buck episode, no less. Anyway.
If anybody lives in any of these countries, let us know,
Yeah.
Mike at cullenpark.com. Let us know what you think of our show. And,
if we could sleep on your couches.
Yes. Any country. Any country. We'll go anywhere. We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go anywhere.
Well, maybe within reason. I mean, there's some places I probably shouldn't go. Anyways,
yeah, probably. Yeah.
Places that might kill me and stuff. But anyways, we're good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so
Uncle Buck.
Yep, Uncle Buck. So we got another review here, Matt. This one, it's a 9 out of 10. It says, good show.
Hey.
This is from Catherine Grace Zay. She wrote this back in 2006 in May 4th. I used to watch this show when I was a little girl. Although I don't remember much about it, I must say that it was pretty good. It was a pretty good show.
Well, that's why, because you don't remember much about it, so...
It's just funny. I don't think I've seen every episode. However, if you ask me, it was still a good show. I remember the opening sequence and theme song vaguely. Also, I vaguely remember the episode where Miles gets pulled up to the ceiling of the mall when he's holding a big bunch of balloons. In addition to that, everyone was ideally cast. The costume design was great. The performances were top grade too. I hope some network brings it back so I can see every episode. Before I wrap this up, I'd like to say that I'll always remember this show in my memory forever, even though I don't think I've seen every episode. Now, in conclusion, if some network ever brings it back, I hope that you can catch it one day before it goes off the air for good.
No, you're wrong. You just proved your point by saying you don't remember much of it, but yet it was a great show.
Basically what it is she was a kid, liked the show when it was on the air.
Yeah.
And there's this thing called nostalgia, where things actually seem better in your memory than they actually were.
Yep.
Much like when I went back to watch Small Wonder, which I loved as a kid.
Yep.
And I couldn't make it through like a whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there we go.
That show actually lasted like 5 seasons.
Something.
Or
yeah. Way too long.
Yeah. So yeah, nostalgia definitely. I mean, that, people bank on nostalgia. It's a big business these days, but some things are just bad. Like I forgot what I was watching a show about a year ago. I think that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid. I think it was the Super Mario Brothers cartoon, and I started watching it. And they had like these weird cutscenes where it was Mario and Luigi, like real life people.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my god,
the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is terrible. Like just the banter between them, and like
that was where Captain Lou Albano played Mario.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I was watching that like a year ago, and like I had to turn it off after 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, nostalgia time over. I can't deal with this.
Yep. Speaking of nostalgia, like I think I've said in a previous episode, the Punky Brewster reboot, A+, man, A+.
Oh yeah,
cheesy and corny as fuck, but still good.
A+, and that's on what network is that on?
That's on Peacock.
Peacock, yeah. Another show that's really was good was the reboot of what was it? Whatever, I forgot. No big deal. So yeah, Uncle Buck, 1990.
Yeah, the Punky Brewster reboot reminds me a lot of Girl Meets World.
Oh yeah,
but like in a different way. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it reminds me of it. And that was a good show. Reboot of Boy Meets World that ended too soon.
Now I remember. Yeah, it didn't last that long. Now I remember the Full House reboot. I liked what I was trying to say.
Yeah, Full House. The Full House reboot was okay. It was. I still haven't finished all of it, so I still got to watch the last season or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saved by the Bell reboot is pretty good.
Yep.
I like that. That's on Peacock as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some different reboots going on that I think are pretty good nowadays. I mean, some of them suck, but, you know, you can do nostalgia right, you know. Just don't try to remember things and then go back and watch the original and think you're going to love it as much as you did when you were like 5 years old or something.
No. You know what would be really cool reboot? Is NYPD Blue. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
That was like one of the first like rough cop shows, like Chicago PD and stuff. That was like the first one that was just like the cop is literally just like a drunk racist,
yep.
Just like slams people around and shit. And I used to watch that as a kid, even like 10 years old or something like that.
Yep. And speaking of racists, Ricky Schroeder was on that show. Anyways,
he was? Oh wow.
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder was like one of the partners for Sipowicz. And then yeah. And then you have Mark Paul Gosselaar after him, which was good because he's a lot better actor and a lot better person than Ricky Schroeder. Yep. Yep. Speaking of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another show I grew up watching. Speaking of Ricky Schroeder, I grew up watching Silver Spoons. And
yeah.
I loved that show. And then I've tried to watch it since, and it's not as good as I remember it being.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Most are. I mean, like, the only one that really held up for me was the Brady Bunch, but I think that was because that was a show that I watched as a kid, but even though... So, like, I think there's a difference when you watch a show as a kid that's from a different time period.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit, maybe less pressure to like it.
It's like when I grew up, I watched Nick at Night, and I loved all those shows, and they still hold up, in my opinion, like your Donna Reeds and stuff like that. You know, and your Dick Van Dykes and whatnot. Of
course.
Yeah. There's also, you know, speaking of like nostalgia, I mean, I can't remember. There was something I watched recently. Oh, something that really holds up is Boy Meets World.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I never get sick of that show ever.
No. So, anyways, yeah, we went off on a little nostalgia tangent there, but yeah. So, okay, Matt, based on this pilot here, though, would you recommend anybody watch this pilot or any of the other episodes of the show based on just the
absolutely
pilot?
Not?
Yeah,
no. I mean, I do want to see the episode where Miles floats up to the ceiling with the balloons.
I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. It's all you know, they're all free.
At least that scene of him floating. I mean, maybe not the whole episode, but just that part. But no, this is one of those things where it's so bad that it's not even funny at all. It's not even fun to make fun. Like The Sleepover, which I'm not sure when that will be released, but we record from this day, which is March 8th, 2021.
Yes.
We reviewed The Sleepover last night, which is March 7th, 2021. So I'm just saying, because I'm not sure when either of these will get uploaded. But so that movie was bad, but it was just fun enough to make fun of.
Yeah.
This was just bad. It wasn't like I didn't really get any enjoyment out of watching this.
No.
I just felt awkward the whole time. You know, so
yeah, it'd be interesting. We'll see some of these other ones that we can cover that, you know, might just be quite as bad. Maybe some will be good. We'll see. But if you like this series, and if there's any sitcoms or anything, or even dramas, pilots of dramas or sitcoms or anything that you think we would be good at covering, just let us know. Send the suggestions to me at mike@cullenpark.com. I'd appreciate that. You know, because sometimes we can't think of ideas of what to do. So if you tell us what to do, we'll do it.
Yep.
Not everything, mind you.
Not everything. No. And if you throw us a few bucks at our Patreon, you know, we might be a little bit more apt to, you know, do what you want. Just saying. So
yes, exactly. We'll do a whole commentary of a movie if you want us to. Whatever, you know. something, There are different things on there. Just go to Patreon, it's in the links. If you want to watch this episode of Uncle Buck, it's on YouTube for free. So,
Yep.
Just look it up. And, anyways, anything else before we, head off into the sunset here, Matt?
No, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay, so, be good, people. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And,
Right.
Be kind, rewind.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Wear a condom.
Wait for it.
Yeah. Yep. Wear a condom. Yep. I'm not sure why, but go ahead and do it. Anyways, yeah.
Make a habit of doing it,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So
Just wear it all the time.
yes.
24/7. Have a condom
Oh
on.
God.
Wait.
Wait.
Even if you don't have a penis, go ahead and do it. I don't know where you'd wear it. But anyways, so, not sure what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyways, until next time, people, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.